Alibaba released a 27 billion parameter model you can run on a good laptop. And its own benchmark sheet puts it ahead of Claude Opus 4.6 on some coding work. If that holds up outside of the model card, the smartest model at your company might never touch the cloud. I'm Matt Wozniak, a serial builder and relentless executor. I come from the lens of execution, and I focus on what works and what doesn't.
And I'm Oscar Gallo, AI engineer entrepreneur, and I live in the intersection of engineering and business. So this is Human in the Loop. We filter the week's AI news, and then we test the business case and call what matters. So let's start with our first segment, which is signal or noise. And this one, it's a very interesting week for the open source, of course. So let's start with the first one, right? So Qwen 3.87 billion parameters put frontier style scores on laptops hardware, and this is super cool. I really love this news. So long story short, okay, Qwen released Qwen 3.8 on August 14, which is literally a few days ago. And the open weights model has 27 billion parameters and has a native 262,000 token context window, which is not bad really. So you can use roughly these weights with around 18 to 20 gigabytes, which is the size of the weights, which put this frontier model within reach of a lot of laptops and desktop computers, which is insane to even think about it, right? So the headline claims, that it's very precise, and well, the comparison pretty much is between Opus 4.6 on Macs, which is not bad because it's a pretty decent model, and especially on Macs, which is the highest reasoning level. And on every metric and benchmark, and I know that we have said before that we are not strong believers of benchmarks because they're a little bit weird. But this one, for example, on SWE-bench Pro, Terminal Bench, and GPQA Diamond, it's getting pretty amazing results. And one of the funniest things that we are seeing right now, like especially is like especially right now, is like these two worlds where you have something like Fable, right, which is like this massive model that you need like the whole world to be able to run it. Literally, like I think you need around like $8 million of hardware to be able to run Fable. And then you have something like this, which is of course not Fable level, but this is already like Opus 4.6 level on a simple computer. And that changed in literally 6 months. Like 6 months, like this whole thing. What I don't even remember, when was the release date of 4.6? Like a year ago? Like probably
I thought it
something
was
like
this
that,
year. I thought it was earlier this year.
4.6 is a little bit older because we had 4.8 and then we had 5, right? So I think it's like a year.
It says
Probably.
Anthropic released Claude Opus 4.6 on February 5th, 2026.
Holy moly.
It's like
This is
it moves
insane,
fast,
right?
making the years seem
What?
shorter.
Yeah, like what the hell, man? Like this is insane. So this is what I'm saying. Like we literally are getting the intelligence of a model that was frontier not so long ago in a simple computer, in a normal laptop. Like that's something. And to be fair, I feel from my point of view that Opus 4.6 was that like breakaway of now this sucks or it's very unstable versus hey, this is usable. You can actually like for real do coding and stuff like all day with this thing, That was like the breaking point for me. So the whole idea that we can have that breaking point now running locally on a simple computer, it's insane. It's insane. Uh, I'm loving this new world where we're going to get better inference, better intelligence, faster intelligence, and cheaper at the same time on smaller models, right? That can run anywhere. Now that this launch, getting a nice, not a Mac Mini really, because I feel like that's too small, but probably Mac Studio or this DJI Spark. I think, what is the name of that microcomputer from Nvidia? Like now I feel like finally it makes a lot of sense to make like a very dumb spending and get me one of those and just try to check all these models, because it just looks pretty good. So I will call this 100% signal, right? Because this is the future. We have said this many times here. Smaller, very refined models will be the future, because you can just do more with this type of things and it's just available to everybody. So I will call this 100% signal. I don't know what you think about it, Matt.
No, I think this is a huge story. And just to be clear, right, this Qwen, it doesn't beat Opus in any of the benchmarks. And like you said, we're not really big on the benchmarks, but they're the best mode of comparison we have right now. But looking at the scores, it got 89.2 versus Opus's 91.3, and that's negligible, and that's huge. But we're still not at the point where it beats it, and that would be tremendous, huge news. That would be crazy. But like I said before, even if it scored an 86 versus 91, I'd still think this was huge news. And the fact that it got that close, it's within 2% of most of these benchmarks, 73 versus 78. 70 versus 68. It's close. It's like right on the tails. And I think it's huge news. I do think, however, that it doesn't necessarily make it accessible to everybody, right? In order to run one of these locally, you're still spending a few thousand on some type of hardware to run this. And obviously that's not within everybody's price range. But it is becoming more and more accessible, which is where I want to see this heading. And I think we're heading in the right direction, so I'm happy to see it. But, a model fitting in memory doesn't necessarily mean it's fast or reliable or cheap to support, right? You still have to know what it's doing. It's going to cost a lot of electricity. It's going to, like I said, the hardware is going to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people who are like looking for this type of thing, they're not really going to care about the parameter count. They're not going to care about the benchmark score. They're going to care about, is this manageable to run on my own at my house, and how much work am I able to complete per hour with this versus something hosted, at one of these frontier labs. That's like, at the end of the day, that's what people care about. Is this cost benefit me, or is it out of my price range, or is it really not going to be good in the long term, right? Because I mean, once you have a machine like this that can run these local models, when a new model comes out, you can swap it in, right? But getting up and running, it's gonna be a task. But I think a lot of people are gonna be happy with this. I'm happy with it, for sure.
Just for context, okay, because I think this is very important. Here we're talking about the quantization of 4-bit, which is the smallest one. This is why it is only 18 gigabytes. But of course, you can go as high as 16, which is like the full power. But it's still pretty manageable. It will probably, on 16, it will be probably like, what, 100 gigabytes of RAM? Which I'm not saying is not a lot, it's a lot. But just for context, the model that we're comparing is Opus 4.6. Opus 4.6 on quantization of 16 bits, it's I think you need 900 megabytes of VRAM to run. That's 9 times more. Like that. That's a lot of difference. Like, you are getting almost the full power for 1/9 of the size of the RAM, of the video RAM that you will need. Like, that's massive. Like, that's literally massive, because even in your worst case scenario, if you buy the hardware, you will need 2 Mac Mini Max with 512 gigabytes of RAM, connect through this. I don't remember the name of this link that you can use on the Mac Minis to share and create a 1 GB version, and it will barely fit Opus, right? With the same hardware, you will be able to run 10 instances of the
Yeah.
full power Qwen 3.8. Like, holy, like that's really a lot of difference. Like, this is big news.
Yeah. No, and I'm happy to see it. Okay. Story number 2. Z.ai delays GLM 5.3's open weights after cyber testing. Uh-oh. So what happened? Z.ai announced GLM 5.3 on August 14th with a focus on coding and cybersecurity. The company reports a score of 84.5% on CyberGem, narrowly ahead of Anthropic's Fable 5. So it's actually beating out these Mythos-class like front runner as of right now, the Fable, which everything's constantly being compared against. And OpenAI's 5.6 Sol. So it's beating both of them right now on the test tables. On exploit bench, GLM 5.3 scored 54.4% behind both frontier models. So there you go. It's benchmarks. It's like points in whose line is it anyway? They mean nothing. These are vendor reported results, not independent reproductions. So they scored themselves. Z.ai delayed the public model weights after 2 weeks, for 2 weeks, while it strengthens safety controls and is limiting early access to selected security partners in controlled environments. Its disclosure ledger says GLM models have found over 2,000 vulnerabilities across 269 open source projects, including over 1,000 rated critical or high severity. That's never a good sign. Haven't that many. I mean, even when I work on actual code and repositories, if I see more than 50 vulnerabilities, my head explodes. I go nuts. I can't imagine seeing 2,400 something vulnerabilities and saying, yeah, let's ship it. There's no way. There's no way. If I was on that team, I'd say, nope, we're not doing it. And obviously somebody did. So I think this is signal. I think I'd like to get my hands on it and actually compare it myself, or see some independent reports on, the comparison between this and Fable and Sol. But it's still signal. An open weight model approaching these frontier and allegedly surpassing it in some metrics. That changes them from being, the runners up to potentially being the frontier models, even amongst the frontier research lab models, and that's huge. The benchmark and vulnerability claims, like I said, I'd like to see more reporting on that from independent people, not like the actual vendor saying, yeah, we did great. So just a vendor benchmark plus specialized security harness that's not a production ready result, I would say. Show me the independent tests, false positive tests, patches. I want to see how many of these vulnerabilities we can get removed in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then I'd like to see this story circulate back in the news with an update. What about you?
I agree. I think this is 100% signal, because I will make the case, okay, that the whole thing about these Mythos class models were that they were so insanely powerful on cybersecurity.
Dangerous.
That, oh my god, this is so dangerous. The world is ending, blah blah blah, and it's like, so this open weights model just outrank that thing. I mean, not in all the benchmarks, right? It's clear, but one that is very important for them, that they were very proud, right? So, damn, this is insane to see this level of progress. At the same time, I'm a little bit weary about the whole idea of too dangerous and all that. Because I assure you, if the Chinese had this for a week, 2 weeks, or even a month, I assure you they are already using to poke on the American government, the European government, on everybody's business there, to see what they can get for sure. I feel like this is just use them trying to be nice, like, oh yeah, look, we have this very, very, very smart, brutal model that we can use to do bad things to you, you know. But we're going to be nice and we're going to like control it a little bit. You know that I have very extreme opinions. I don't think they should change these models. I don't think they should have any type of like security measures. I think these models should be out 100% how they are, so we can use them to tackle those security issues and vulnerabilities. Like, like claiming that we can protect software by obscurity, is not a thing. It's not real. Like, it's completely a lie, and I would prefer these models to be fully out, completely capable, and then we're going to use them to fix our own problems, right? But yeah, this is 100% noise. I'm still a little bit annoyed about the idea of like too dangerous to ship. You know, I just don't buy it. But it's nice. It's nice to see all these advancements in open source in general. And I realized that for some reason, GLM has, since the 5.2 version, has been very prominent on security and all that. So I'm not sure if that is going to be like their focus from now on, right? But it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. No, and the self-reported results, it always gets me, right? It's like it's like me meeting up with my buddies and saying, I benched more than Arnold ever did in his life this weekend in my garage by myself. I'm not gonna do it right now, but like I did it in like perfect conditions, right? It was 86 degrees. Wind was coming easterly at 3 miles an hour. It's like, okay, let's do it for real. I want to see how this actually works. So I agree.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic, hoping that like this is true. That's why I called it signal. But it's unverifiable as of right now, and behind closed doors. So I'm willing to swap from signal to noise until I can see something substantial. You convinced me.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that. I am on signal too. I don't think it will change. Maybe they will score a little bit lower. Maybe it won't surpass Fable, but it will be close enough, right? And that's still pretty good. So okay, let's jump into news number 3, which is meta release Muse Glimmer. They have such a weird names, man, for their models. Like,
Better than just calling them numbers like the other labs are doing.
I feel like it's even worse because some of these numbers makes no sense. But whatever, you know. So,
isn't that a band?
like, this is the proof that we as like engineers, developers, and scientists, like, we just suck at naming things. Like, we're really bad. Like we should stop. Pay somebody in marketing to do these things, please. You know. But whatever. So meta release Muse. No,
Muse.
it's not a moose. Muse Glimmer. Moose. It has horns and stuff. Muse Glimmer, 30 billion local agent model. And so meta release on August 10th this model, and it's a 30 billion parameters open weight model built for agent work and local deployment. Meta says that it's roughly a 4-bit form kept the language model under 20 gigabytes. Okay, so that's pretty manageable compared to Qwen, pretty much, living room for context, vision, and draft model components on a 24 gigabytes GPU. The release gives local builders a serious option in the same week as Qwen, which is amazing, right? But yeah, because the competition matters, we know that. This is just like to have more personal super intelligence, on your own computer, and this is pretty cool. So long story short, I think 1 episode ago or 2 episodes ago we talked about Muse Park, right? The model release. So pretty much this is the same model. It's just like a quantized version, and then they added a little bit of post training so it can give you still good results, right? Even when it's that small. But it's looking pretty decent. For what I saw on the benchmarks, it's actually not better than Qwen. but it's close enough. Like it's close enough. It's pretty light. It's not bad at all. Uh, it could be that for general like agentic stuff like browser use, for example, they're probably better than Qwen. But this is not bad at all. We got two interesting models, smart enough and very lightweight, uh, of sizes that we never ever imagined. Okay, like the idea of a model of this intelligence, open weights, that runs on a simple small computer like that we have right now, like it was like impossible to even imagine. The only thing that I'm a little bit pissy, still, and I will call it, is that Meta hasn't released Muse Spark yet as open source. I don't know if they will do it. Probably they won't, and that's kind of like, like come on, like you already did the whole quantization, post training, and everything for this version. Just launch the bigger brother. Like yeah, I get it that it's not like super useful for a normal person to try to run that because you will need a strong hardware. Doesn't matter, just do it. Like you were such an advocate for so long for open source to now change their perspective, right as Meta, and say no, we're not going to that. And it's like, come on, like this is like you are gaining the trust back of developers and people who were thinking that you were dead. I'm talking about Meta, right? And we literally talk about Meta not ever coming back to the game, right? And a few months later they launched this, and it's like, okay, oh, yeah, shut up, like I won't talk crap anymore. Like they are back in business, right? So yeah,
Hey,
I
we're
think
wrong
this is signal.
sometimes. We're
Yeah,
okay to
of
admit that.
course.
It's not a big deal.
I mean, we say a lot of things, so we better be wrong
We
a
can't be
few
right all
times,
the time.
right?
But at least
Like,
we're honest about our where we are wrong. We make predictions, they
mhm.
don't come through. We still talk about it. We don't just ignore it that we made those predictions.
Yeah. The reality is like we want to be as transparent as we can on our thinking process and how we do things. We don't want to be like, oh, we are Mister Always Right, because that's bullcrap. That's bullcrap, obviously, right? So yeah, for me, this 100% signal. It's very exciting to see these two models like being launched like one after the other, and us being able just to do general testing. Now this is really exciting, and I hope that we can get more of this, with time. So, what's your opinion?
So I mean, this is awesome. I love seeing this. It's the same as the first story, right? We have now two credible local agents competing for the same space on your computer, right? And that's almost putting the buying power back into the consumer's hands, right? Because it's not just one model cornering the market. Now we have competitors, like you said. Competition is huge for both driving quality and cost efficiency. And that's for any market. That's not just this. That's just economics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the bigger story here is, Meta's support promise matters more than the actual weights. A local model without stable runtimes becomes an integration project. That's going to be more difficult than it's not just plug and play at that point, right? And I think it's also interesting that a lot of these models they're they're going towards the multimodal path. So these are now multimodal models, right? They're not, which is like a funny multimodal model. Say that 10 times fast. But it's like you don't just give it text in, text out, text in, text out. You can give it text, images. I mean, I don't know if this works with voice, but I've seen a lot of them are incorporating voice like conversations now. I was watching a movie with my grandma, and a commercial for ChatGPT came on with like an old lady talking to her ChatGPT, and my grandma asked, like, "Is that a real thing?" And I was like, "Yeah." I pulled up ChatGPT and I say, "Hey, say hi to my grandma," and she sat there talking to my ChatGPT for a good 10 minutes, and then she said, "Turn it off. It's creeping me out." She said that's I don't like talking to strangers, but it is good. I think these are all great stories. We're driving quality at the same time. I see a path towards decreasing prices. So I same as the first story. I think it's totally signal, and I want to see even more enter the market, and I want to see these models get better. I want to see them continue to grow, become more efficient. Yeah. So I think would you ever find a situation where you need more than one local model, especially if they're both like generalized multimodal models? I can't think of a situation where I might need it unless you're like some type of like I
I
don't know
can Im- I,
extremist.
I can imagine one, but that will be completely depending, like, on what this model shines, right?
Right. It'd be
Because,
like a
for
niche
example,
solution.
exactly. Because if we know that, for example, for medical purpose, maybe Gemma, right, 4 billion, something like that, like it does a little bit better. Yeah, for sure. Like having a proper small router that just like goes to the other model for those specific cases. Yeah, for sure. But if they are kind of like on the same situation, like on the same level, I don't think it makes any sense. This is why we have talked before that it would be super cool to have like super specialized models that are just great at one thing, right? Like great at coding, great at marketing, just one thing only,
Yeah.
that's
No,
it, like
perfect.
no more. Uh-huh.
I would love
And
to
that will
get
be
these.
amazing.
I would love to get these research labs together and just put that in their head. Say, hey, find a lane and stick to it. Then you guys can work together, right? Like at this point, if both Muse and Qwen are both local models that are general multimodal models, they use about the same parameters. They use about the same memory. There's really like it's you flip a coin and just pick one at that point, right? But if you can
Hmm.
prove that Qwen is better than Muse at X, Y, and Z, and Muse is better than Qwen at ABC, then I could see a point of like, okay, where do we integrate these? Which ones do we want to use in which scenarios? We have to build that router Oscar was just talking about. But right now, they seem like I'm glad that they're out. Don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
I'm giving constructive feedback, right? Like I want to see them become less general and more specific in some type of area, regardless of where it is, right? So that's kind of where I see it going next from here. Like they can't remain generalized forever, or maybe they can. I don't know. Time will tell.
I think they will
Okay,
try, but it will probably be better if they don't.
better, yeah, business wise. If
Yeah.
they don't, I'm worried about me. I'm worried about how well I can do things using these models. I don't care about their bottom line. I care about me. Okay, next story. Uh, Grok story 4. Grok 4.6 returns SpaceX AI to the Frontier Pack. So what happened? SpaceX AI released Grok 4.6 on August 12th. Axios reported on August 13th that the model scored near OpenAI GPT 5.6 Sol Max and behind Anthropic Fable 5 Max on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Codex, another benchmark. We got it. We're going to add Valley Seed benchmark to this one day. You mark my words. We're going
Yeah.
to add it.
Soon we will do it, probably.
Then we'll just have our own. We'll be reporting the scores as opposed to just reading what other benchmarks reported. Okay, story 4 for Signal or Noise. Grok 4.6 returns SpaceX AI to the Frontier Pack. So what happened? SpaceX AI released Grok 4.6 on August 12th. Axios reported on August 13th that the model scored near OpenAI GPT 5.6 Sol Max and behind Anthropic Fable 5 Max on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, which is another benchmark. Um, one of these days, we're going to build one of these benchmarks at Valley Seed, and we're going to be the ones reporting on these scores. But we don't have it yet, but we will work on it, mark my words. This release matters because another provider is close enough to compete for coding and knowledge work with these frontier models now. The public evidence is still thin compared with a full model card and independent task reports, but that's just because it hasn't been out that long. So I would expect to see some of those coming out in the coming weeks. I think this same as with these previous stories. This has been a huge week for non-frontier models, and that's not to say that these research labs, these actual frontier model research labs, aren't sitting around twiddling their thumbs, not doing anything. I would almost expect like they would be releasing something soon, just because they're starting to get that pressure on them that these models are catching up. And I doubt they're just going to stop, right? They must be working on something, and I would expect to hear news like, because we're at the beginning of Q3 right now, right, or towards the end of Q3, beginning of Q4. So
Yeah,
it's been a while
Q3 is
since,
already down. So yeah.
yeah. So it's been a while since they've had some big release or big piece of news that I've seen, at least, and I'm reporting on the news. So I would expect to hear something soon. And if not, then it's still a huge week for non-frontier models. They're catching up, they're getting close, and they're getting cheaper. So it's putting a lot of pressure on these research labs. What do you think?
Look, I will call 100% signal this, but for a different reason. And here comes my thinking. A lot of people, mostly weirdos, hate Elon in general. Uh, I won't lie that he is a little bit autistic. Maybe a little bit more than a little bit. He's a weirdo. Okay, he's a weirdo, but and he has a very particular way of doing things. But I think he has, like, I don't know, better plans for the future of humans than somebody than Dario, for example. For sure. Like, I think he has like a better idea of like a future, what he wants for the humanity to be able to do. And I like that. And when they started with this whole XAI, I remember seeing a lot of people making fun, like, yeah, you have your car thingy, with Tesla and SpaceX, like, like, just stick with that. What are you doing? Trying to do like another thing, Um, in my head, like, he did the impossible thing once, which is like making a very good electric car. And I don't like Tesla, okay? I find them really gay. Like, I don't care what people tell me, I'll never buy one of those. They are super weird, okay? But they are pretty good cars, okay? Like, they are pretty good cars. This is why it's literally the best sale electric car in the world. There's a reason, right? Not just random. And then when he started with this stuff about SpaceX, they were like, "No, you're crazy, blah blah blah. That's impossible." And then he made it happen, right? Now we have like the cheapest, pretty much, like space travel in the world, thanks to him. Then all this Starlink, which again I hear many times that that's not possible. Now you have super extremely fast internet anywhere in the world, right? Which is again insane. And there goes another impossible thing, right? So when he started with this idea about XAI to eventually take over on OpenAI and Anthropic, I was like, I think we will be able to do it. But the main thing is like, no, they won't be able, because like XAI needs so much computing to be able to do something like that. And because every data center is pretty much sold out for 5 years, I think, something insane like that. It's like, no, like he doesn't have the time or effort or blah blah blah, so he's not going to be able to properly compete like OpenAI has been in the business already, doing from ChatGPT 1 for so long. So of course, and then I don't even know how he was able to put like one of these extreme big data centers in Texas in like a few months, which was insane. And now, a few months later of that, we get a model that is bordering the top better models of these massive businesses, right?
But I think it's worth pointing out, right? This model is bordering these, and I haven't seen any news stories of him headhunting any of these big directors or founders or like big famous engineers at
Mm-hmm.
any of these research labs, right? It's just all people that have working at XAI. It's not like, oh,
Yes.
this guy's
Uh-huh.
leaving Google for XAI, this guy's leaving Anthropic, this guy's leaving OpenAI. None of that. I've seen none of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I didn't realize, but that's true. Like, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, they are pretty much just stabbing each other in the back non-stop, trying to get whoever they can.
Yeah,
No, he's
exactly what
mine.
it's doing.
No, he's mine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just stabbing like
Which that
non-stop.
doesn't mean that they're not headhunting people, but it's not in the news and it's not people at the top. I'm sure they're taking like great engineers from all over the place to build this.
Yeah, that's for sure. But you don't have this like toxic probably relationship of like just trying to steal on each other and trying to get uh like to steal what they are doing, right? Because this is, I mean, OpenAI just did this with somebody from Apple, right? There's no surprises there. So yeah, this is insane. But at the same time, Elon being Elon, I expected this in a weird way. Like he has pulled so many impossible feats that when I see this, I think, yeah, like this for sure will be the case. And now that Cursor is officially part of XAI and SpaceX and all this, I believe it will be even faster, way faster. There could be a case in a few months where we are here recording episode 21, because I don't think it will be that many episodes until this happens, where there will be, oh, Grok 4.8 or 5, Grok 5, whatever, it's already faster, better, more powerful than whatever OpenAI or these other guys have.
It's only
And I
available
wouldn't be
in
surprised.
Codex or what was it? Cursor. It's only available in Cursor, and
Cursor.
then Cursor's going
Uh-huh.
to get 7 billion downloads.
That's the case that I imagine, because let's be real, like if Cursor can give you all that power of inference, of intelligence, cheaper, faster, us as a business, we are not going to be sitting like we don't care about like Anthropic or OpenAI. We care about the best we can get for the money that we're spending, right? So
I wear
we
no
will
team's
change
jersey.
like this,
Yep.
like half a second, bye.
Yeah.
It's done. Like
It's true. I
bye.
mean, that's just business. That's business,
Uh
baby.
huh.
You know what I mean?
Uh huh.
But it's,
So
go ahead.
I was saying that I really believe this will happen, like for real, because if it already happens with electric cars and space rockets and stuff like that, and then with Starlink and all that, because let's not forget that before Starlink came, fast speed satellite internet was not a thing. And I'm saying this as somebody that comes from a ranch in the middle of nowhere there, where getting internet in these ranches was impossible, and you will get like these very, very, very slow antennas, and you could not even move them. And if it was raining, you could not get any connection. Like it's insane, how bad they were. And this was just like move it off the way. I wouldn't say the whole phrase of that song, because probably we'll get blocked on YouTube. But but clearly this is way better. So yeah, I expect them to eventually just to go ahead and kick their asses.
Yeah, no, I've definitely learned you don't bet against Elon, but you also don't buy his stock right when it comes out. 'Cause I know a lot of people who did, and like their SpaceX stock isn't doing too great. Or what is it? SpaceX? What was the new one? It was SpaceX, right? But
Yeah.
I think Elon Musk. Yeah, he's got a touch of the tism. But the things he does make sense if you think about what his end goal is. He's extremely focused on getting humanity to Mars, right? That's like his life goal, right? And that's all he cares about. And when he's building these businesses, it seems like he just wants to build an all-inclusive business structure that has no external dependencies, right? So he wants to get to Mars. What do you need to get to Mars? You need a rocket ship. Okay, we're building a rocket ship company. What do you need when you get there? You need cars to get around. You need robots to build the stuff. So okay, I'll build a car company. I'll build a robot company. If we want to live underground because you can't live on the surface, how do you build tunnels and stuff? Okay, I'll build the boring company. AI is becoming super huge, and like we need like to use AI to accelerate our growth. Okay, well I don't want to depend on someone else's AI model. I'll make my own, right? We need like a custom IDE for coding and all this stuff. Okay, I'll buy Cursor and now that's ours, and we're going to continue to expand on it, right? I can't think of like anything that he's founded or done that hasn't been at least tangentially for the end goal of we need this business to get us to Mars. Our end goal is humans on Mars. What do we need to get there? I don't want to depend on anyone else. If we depend on that, let's make it part of our company, whether we buy it, build it, or found it, right? And that, if you step back, right, that kind of makes sense now. But like over the past 20 years, it has seemed like, oh, he's doing random crap. Like he's got a car company, he's got a rocket company. Why is this guy doing all this stuff? Like it doesn't make sense. And people without a lot of ambition, they hate seeing people with a lot of ambition. But other people who do have ambition, they love seeing it. So I don't really care what Elon Musk says about politics or about current events or anything like that. But if he's doing something business wise, I'm interested to see what's going on. That's kind of where I stand on it.
I agree. I think he's way better at doing business stuff that we want to accept, mostly because a lot of people just get crazy every time he says something political. um and I don't know, I don't think he's
together. That's it. He's good at finding good people.
hmm yeah, because you can see that literally on every business that he has built. Like it's insane how
Yes.
much. Like I mean, one of the funny things, remember when he bought X.com, like I saw at least 20 different newspapers calling the end of Twitter, how it was going to fail and nothing's going to work and blah blah blah, all this stupid stuff non-stop, and here we are years later with the website
People
with
still call
more
it
users
Twitter.
than ever. It hasn't still exploded or anything like that. It's still working
It's still
great.
used at every news station, like every UFC event. Like it's like the most up to date real time source of news that like everybody uses. It's
Yeah,
still extremely relevant, if not more now than ever.
yeah, it actually has more users than ever. One of the funniest things is that some weird crappy
Or
businesses, they
real
jump
users,
out,
not
right?
bots.
Yes, like some crappy businesses, they jump out of the window saying that, oh no, now it's full of, I don't know, whatever they define as hate speech. That's probably
Yeah,
just
people I
people
disagree
calling them
with.
stupid.
Well, I hate it.
Like everybody that doesn't agree with me is a Nazi, type of situation, right? Which clearly didn't work out how they expected. But yeah, like I will agree that whatever he touches gets better, whether we like it or not.
It's
And
more
I
efficient,
have high
I would say.
hopes. Yes, way more efficient. Yes, because I think he's running with 10% of the workers that Twitter was running. Like you just fire everybody at HR and everything gets fixed.
All the problems go away.
uh,
Okay. Anything else on that story?
no, let's jump into the
Okay.
news number 5, which is another open source model, of course. Well, not open source, but we'll explain that later. So, DeepSeek V4 Pro reaches general availability for everybody now. So, long story short, DeepSeek rolled the general availability build V4 Pro across all the applications, web, product, and API on August 13, a few days ago. The API supports 1 billion token context, a window, and then you have tool calls and all that, right? Um, and they have interfaces that are compatible with OpenAI and Anthropic, which is kind of the standard by this moment. And DeepSeek also exposes reasoning effort controls for agents' workloads, which is insanely well if you want to fine tune some of the things that you are doing, and like OpenAI and Anthropic will first like implode their business before doing accepting to something like that. So big respect for them. And well, the practical story is not really like the new model name. It is cheaper as being a frontier option, right? But finally, going from preview into like full pro, it's something important because it means that, well, it's actually ready for us to use. I will call this signal, because again, we are in the same line of like open source models, open weights models, and how we can eventually start using them. Of course, as you can imagine, just as with Anthropic and everyone, like be careful about what you connect to this. If you're going to use their API, just imagine they will use your data. And to be fair, the Anthropic and OpenAI is probably doing the same, and Google too. So just be careful with the data that you share with these businesses, please. Because lately I saw everybody asking ChatGPT, describe me with one word, right? And it was like funny to see like how I realized that some people share like everything with like ChatGPT, like how many kids you have, like everything. So it will give you like very specific words like father, responsible, stuff like that. I got so curious and I went, hey, ChatGPT, like, tell me, describe me in one word. Builder. I went, okay, fair enough. Not so bad. You got curious about it too, huh?
Yeah. Now I want to see what he says.
What do you say for you?
Relentless. Relentless. You must have read the
Uh,
show notes.
yeah, probably.
That's
But
funny.
like this is just be careful. Like I say, that what you share with their API and in general, Of course, probably you won't download this model and run it locally. It's kind of big, right? Or if you can maybe run this in a different inference platform, if you can, well, go ahead and do it. Just be careful with that. But yeah, 100% signal. I think this is amazing. So, what was your opinion on this?
I mean, it's along the lines of everything that we've been talking about today. All these other labs are catching up to OpenAI, catching up to Anthropic. But like you said, compatibility isn't a courtesy, right? It's a takeover, right? And once somebody else like speaks to your API, you don't have a product. You have one vendor's version of a standard, right? And the cheap one wins on default. So ask IBM how IBM compatible worked out. Because nobody talks about IBM anymore. Some people do, but like not really.
Yeah, some
So
people
I
over
think,
60. Come on, like.
yeah, I was gonna say old people, but I didn't want to be rude. I was gonna say it's all the boomers, but yeah, no, like, but I did, I think it's great, and I think you got to be super super wary with any of this stuff, and that's anything on the internet, anything with software, especially like if you're not very tech literate, which I think most people have like a much higher level of tech literacy now as they did 10 years ago, but the bad actors are always far more literate. Otherwise they wouldn't have the means to be the bad actors that they potentially could be. But
Mhm.
yeah, just be careful. Test everything you do. Don't give it anything you wouldn't give your competitor, right? I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Agree.
Okay, let's jump into next segment. No jargon required. I love this segment, mostly because at an old job a long time ago, I used to be basically the bridge between the technical teams and the stakeholders. So I would I would have to come up with stuff like this all the time. So it's second nature to me, and I love this one. You want to take the first one or the second one, Oscar?
Take the first one.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So first term, and this is a big one. We've been talking about it nonstop the past few weeks. Open weights versus open source. So if I were to put it in one sentence definition, open weights means you can download a model's learned parameters. Open source means you also receive the rights and material needed to study, modify, and share the system. You even get the code for it. That's traditionally what open source means. It's open.
Mhm.
The source code is open. That's literally what it means. So in plain English, training a model produces a large collection of numbers called weights. These can be called weights, vectors, and like there's a lot of different synonyms for these, but that's basically what it is. The weights record the patterns that the model learned. If a company releases those weights, other people can run the trained model on their own hardware instead of sending every request to the company's servers. This release is called open weights. The license still decides what you are allowed to do with the model. Open source asks for more, though. The open source initiative says an open source AI system must give people the freedom to use, study, modify, and share it. That requires the weights, the relevant code base, and enough information about the training data and process to make meaningful changes to it. So, for example, Qwen 3.8 that we talked about earlier in the episode has downloadable weights. You can store them on your own machine and run the model locally. Before using it in a product, you still need to read the license and check which training materials and code were released. So that's an open weight. It's not open source. If it was open source, you would have the weights, the code, the training data, the everything. So there's a common confusion around this is basically free access to run it locally on your computer is not the same as open source. A free website can hide the entire model. Downloadable weights offer more control, but weights alone do not describe how the model was trained. You don't get to see the code, and those are the most important pieces of being open source. So that's basically the breakdown: open weights versus open source. So if you're got a vendor coming to you saying, "Hey, we run our stuff locally. It's all open weight," you say, "Let me see the code." If they say no, then it's truly open weight. If they come to you saying it's open source, ask to see the code. Tell them you want the repository link emailed to you by end of day. If they say no, it's definitely not open source. So it's a very important distinction to make, and I hope you can go forward with a bit more literacy, AI literacy, or more AI knowledgeable about this, because there's a lot of terminology, and we just hope that we can help you be up to date on what it all is. You got anything to add that I missed?
I think you miss, but like just to double down on open weights is pretty much like if you had the compute, you can run the model. In a lot of ways, that's what it is. And you can run it as long as you don't violate their terms and conditions. Like you said, open source is way, way more than that. Like an open source model will be a model that you will get not only the final product, but you will get all the data, right, to create that model, and the process and the code to do so. So in case you want to replicate that process, you can. A lot of times, they do this middle of the road situation where they do release the papers, for example, of the research of how they did this new model, right? But they still don't give you the data to replicate, right? Like they still don't give you the data, but they give you the model, which is the final product. And in a lot of ways, I don't think there's a single open source model right now, like none.
Maybe like crappy ones on Hugging Face. I mean, not like crappy, but like
yes,
user generated,
small,
like tiny models. But it's hard to make it truly open source because it would be, I don't know, Google bytes of data, right? It would be like tens of thousands of terabytes of data, and that's almost impossible to send to somebody, right?
But not only that, like we have a bigger problem that a lot of this data that they use for training,
stolen.
They have IP. It's stolen. Exactly. Look, China doesn't care. Okay, China doesn't care probably that much, but it will be giving bullets to the American government. Oh, you steal data. It's like all of you steal data too. Like shut up, like
you took this from me.
You stole what I just stole. Like literally.
You can't steal what I stole.
It's like that Spider-Man meme pointing to each other. Do you stole the data? Like all of us.
Like in Dumb and Dumber, where he's like, you can't triple stamp a double stamp.
Yeah, it's literally that, right? So I feel this is why it's like very hard on the idea of like a proper open source model, because it's just like giving, oh yeah, we stole all the data in the world. And it's like, and look, to this point, like it's like everybody's just playing dumb, right? We know everything got stolen, okay? But legally, they cannot accept this, right? Because of this law and all that. So, of course, it will be almost impossible, sadly, to get an open source model. But I would love to see the day when a fully open source model is finally like out. Like I would love that.
Well, that's also why they branded this whole new term open weights, right? Because they couldn't really use open source without being called out on it. So that's what open weights is. Now, hopefully, you know the difference.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go with the term number 2. This one is multimodal model. Multimodal model. As a non-English speaker, what the hell is that? Multimodal model. Sounds like a little bit confused when you say it fast, right?
Tough one, right?
Yeah.
It's like a tongue twister.
So if I had to define this in just one sentence, it will probably be that a multimodal model processes more than one type of information, such as text, pictures, audio, and video, pretty much, right? So, in plain English, okay, a text-only model receives words and return words, right? It's pretty much like it's like a parrot. You speak to the parrot replies back to you, right? But then a multimodal model can combine like words, with other forms of inputs, right? You can give it a photo and a written question, and it will understand that, right? And it will answer based on those two things at the same time, right? And some models accept like several input types, but they only produce text, right? Which is the case of, for example, Anthropic. Anthropic cannot produce anything that is not text. It's literally just text. If you're going to tell me, because I know you, some of you will, because you are very smart, and tell me, oh no, but I can produce documents. Yeah, because it wrote a text
document.
which is coding that create that document. You're welcome. That's what it is. So others also create like pictures and audio and video, right? So pretty much the word multimodal does not tell you which formats this model supports, but you have to check the input and the output list. That's what it is really. So for example, if we need to go to a concrete example, I'll probably give you two, but let's start with one, right? So Meta describes Muse Spark 1.1 and 1.2, the one we talked before, as multimodal reasoning models, okay? So you can show it like pictures, of, I don't know, appliances, for example, and you can ask questions in the text, hey, like what type of, like, I don't know, washing machine is this, right? Something like that. And it would have it use the picture and the question together, right, to explain the problem, right? And then we have I know this is going to sound crazy, right, because I'm going to use the word Google and more advanced model in this phrase, but then you have models who are a little bit more advanced, like Google Gemini, one of the latest versions, that you can ask for pictures and for video. And what happens behind is that obviously it will route you to either VO3 or Nano Banana Flash or Nano Banana Pro, right, for those situations. But in that case, these Gemini models will receive pictures, videos, text, but they can produce back videos, text, and pictures, which is one of the cool things of that family of models, right? Versus Muse Spark, that obviously what it's going to do is like give you back just one thing, right? In the case of Anthropic, they just can produce text, and in the very specific case of OpenAI, it can produce text and pictures. I don't know, a lot of you probably forgot about the existence of this because it's not in the list right there, but it can create pictures. Actually, like all the thumbnails from the podcast are pretty much created through a harness that we have that connects to our local versions of codecs, just so you know. So yeah, a common confusion that we can see in this case is that multimodal does not mean agentic. Okay, like I know that for some reason, this is mostly LinkedIn influencers because they have no idea what they're doing, but they will put all these buzzwords together to try to sell you like some dumb agent that probably doesn't do anything useful. and they will put multimodal as a way to try to say agentic, right? Which is not how it works, right? So a multimodal model understands like several types of content. That's what it is, okay? And an agent takes actions and use the tools that it has, okay? Those are two different things. A product can do one without doing the other. That's very clear, okay? So yeah, so that's kind of multimodal multimodal model. I hate that phrase.
Multimodal model.
Yeah, multimodal model. Blah, blah, blah.
Multimodal model. It's like
Whatever.
I think it's, I don't know, Irish or Scottish people, they can't say purple burglar alarm.
That's probably true. Have you ever like heard
Really?
some Scots like they hear? My first time in Europe,
It's like, impossible for them to say.
like my first time in Europe was so confusing to me because I used to think that it was impossible for me to understand, for example, like redneck English, right? Like Arkansas type of, situation. No hate to the people of Arkansas. Okay, I had a great time there. It's just like very confusing, right? To the point that this guy hear my accent like an Uber, and he was like, "Oh, you are from the big city or something like that." I was like, "No, man, I'm from
From
I'm
the
just
Big
a
Apple up there?
I was just like, "No, man, I'm just a wetback, going around
What does he
here."
mean, the
Like,
big city of Little Rock, Arkansas, or what?
like, I don't know, man. Like,
What is
to
the
be
big
fair,
city to someone else?
what I was is probably any place, literally, like with a
Any,
million population.
yeah, you from a place with 10,000 people?
Yeah. So like I don't know, the English accent situation, I feel like it's a little bit worse than the Spanish one. Maybe because I am a Spanish speaker, but it's
It
super
is a tough
interesting.
word. But to
Yeah.
reel it back into the no jargon required. So this is multimodal model, and I wanted to add on to that, right? If somebody does come to you saying, "Hey, I got this multimodal model. I'm interested in selling it to you," there is a slight distinction, right? Because there's a difference between multimodal understanding and multimodal generation, right? So
Yeah.
multimodal model doesn't necessarily tell you which one it is, right? Like a multimodal model, which like, it's like such a silly word. If you break it down, though, multimodal just means more than one mode of communication, right? So text, image, audio, whatever. But the difference between multimodal understanding and multimodal generation is the multimodal understanding can receive input in many modes: text, image, audio, whatever. I don't think many of them really take videos yet, but it only responds with text. That's multimodal understanding. It can process and understand more than one mode and then reply in just text. Multimodal generation, however, can both process and respond in many different forms: text, image, audio. And just take that with you if you got some vendor coming with some multimodal model. And
Multimodal
just make
model.
sure you ask them, hey, is it multimodal understanding? Is it multimodal generation? Is it a vision language model, which is just another word for multimodal understanding? Vision language model just means it can use images and text and reply in text.
PDF stuff like that.
Yeah. So we're hoping that we give you a bit more ammo for some of these vendors if they start coming to your table saying, "Hey, we got this multimodal model." Just say, "Hey, what is it again?" Just trying to get them to say it as many times as they can. Just, to get 'em- just
And to be fair, this stuff of the inputs and outputs, it's really important. But they can come to you, and they can tell you that they have a multimodal model, whatever, right? But in reality, it's actually a multimodal harness. Okay,
yeah,
which that's different, right? Which means that they use a specific model for the processing of the inputs and all that, but then they can use different models for the outputs, and they can get all those things. For example, in our case, like I think we already talked about it, but we have our own internal tool that we use to run a big part of Validate and the podcast together, right? Where we have like our invoices for our clients, right? Where we have all the legal documents that we have created, where we have the proposals, where we have everything related to the podcast, for example. and we create the YouTube thumbnails there and all of that, and that's not a multimodal model. Like that's literally a harness built around having that multimodal outputs, because we need all those different types of outputs, right? I feel like the more times I see multimodal, the less sense it makes, like to a point that eventually it will mean nothing, right? Like, but yeah, I just wanted
I
to
hope we get
clarify
the
that.
subtitles right, because multimodal is different from multi-model. So there's multi-model harness, which is the harness that has many models, many different LLMs in it. And multimodal is just one model. It's like, it's tough, but like if we type it out, I'll put up a nice write up. I'll make like a nice table for our LinkedIn when we share this, so it's very clear. I'll have my multimodal model generate a multimodal
Output.
post. Yeah. So we'll make it super clear. We'll try to come up with some type of
Like
graphic for everybody.
we're going to make one of those logic tables from
Like commercial.
computer mathematics that,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
back in school, like, what is this, and then like, yes, yes, no, 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 yes, yes. Pretty much
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
one by one.
And I liked making those. That was a fun class.
Oh
Like the
my god. Okay.
triangles and like the knot and like, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay,
So
so that's for today, right? Wow, this is a very short podcast. I'm impressed. We only did 1 hour and some minutes extra.
we still got the unpopular opinions.
Oh yeah, so let's jump into that, because
We got some good
that
ones today.
that's why I was impressed. Actually, it was like so short. I was like,
Yeah, we're
wow.
missing a third of the episode. This is like the most fun part.
Yeah, this is where we throw shade at people. Well, okay, let's start with unpopular opinions.
Mostly
This is
Dario.
where, yeah, some old man too sometimes,
Yeah. He gets it.
but
He can
yeah,
get
no,
it sometimes.
Jargon required, we pretty much, sorry, not the Jargon required, I mean, unpopular opinions, we share pretty much like an opinion that we deeply, or that we share, from our point of view, that we know is going to cause some controversy, not because we want to, because I think it's important, right, and to have this type of conversations. um so this one's going to be fun, right? So AI data centers are kind of like the ice houses of the 80s, right? The ice trade kept building bigger and bigger warehouse because of demand of cold was like exploding. I remember this specifically because I am from the desert, right? Like extremely heat situation type of stuff. So people, when this big warehouse started appearing everywhere, like selling ice for very cheap, I'm not going to lie to you, everybody was buying. We were buying. Like it just makes sense. Like it's cheap, it's everywhere, right? So, but the reality is like then like compressors became like small enough to sit like on every kitchen, and cold stop like needing to be delivered. Now it's at home, right? So we may be doing kind of the same thing with inference. As you saw on the news, early episode, like models are getting smaller and better, faster than data centers can be built, and like by the time to this today $1 trillion capacity comes online, which, like we say, like they're sold out for like 5 years, right? Something like that. Most people may run what they needed on a simple laptop, or even something smaller, like a phone, or some type of private server. And I'm fully on board with that idea. So the demand for intelligence will keep growing for sure. Okay, this is something that we have to say, that we believe that AI will be used more and more, not less. We really believe that this is going to keep growing non-stop. Okay, but now you don't need to use a whole truck, okay, to pull whatever you need, to to use this intelligence. Frontier labs will still need data centers for the training, that's for sure. Okay, but the AI premium in their evaluations will collapse to zero, and that will be both sides, from the data centers and from this business like Anthropic and OpenAI. And this is pretty simple, right? Because the reality is like a lot of these data centers that we have right now are not for training; they are for delivery. They're for delivering inference to people who wants to use. Okay, and one funny thing, I don't know if I have it here or somewhere. I'll probably throw it, but we we found cleaning, right, some of like this old laptop, I mean, I say old, but you know what I mean, like i7 type of,
From
quad or 8
2017.
core.
Like,
No, even I think is actually newer than that, this super max laptop for gaming and type of thing, and I was, oh my god, I completely forgot about those things existing, because I have been on Apple so long that I don't know, of course not mine, it was abandoned here, and now I'm thinking that I would love to use that thing as a micro server to try to run some of these smaller models, and make like some type of like home assistant, and you can now, like, this is one of the funniest things that I think that not only these AI data centers will collapse, and a lot of these evaluations from Anthropic and OpenAI, they will go to absolute zero, or not zero, like very, very, very low. Not $1 trillion for sure, just saying that. Uh, but I think we're going to be in a point where all hardware will be useful again. Like, I really believe so. We're going to be in a point where a simple M1 Mac or these old laptops could be reused as home servers, or even like, I don't know, like virtualization computers, right? And you will be able to run a lot of cool things. So yeah, of course, more powerful computers will keep going out and all that. But I think like this is like a complicated situation where we can see like the end of the construction of the non-stop construction of these AI data centers, and a complete collapse of a lot of this business, and a devaluation of all this OpenAI and Anthropic at the same time. So yeah, that's one of people's opinion. I know it's a little bit extreme. Uh,
not
Probably
only
not a little bit, maybe a little bit more than a little bit.
yeah, not
But
only
yeah,
is it extreme, but it's got tremendous like potential repercussions, right? If
yes.
I don't know exactly what would happen, but I imagine if two businesses that are both valued at almost a trillion or over $1 trillion suddenly collapse, like I don't know what would happen, but I know it wouldn't be good for us. I know it would. I mean, I would hope, right? Like it would only affect the people invested in those companies, but the fact that governments are getting so tied into it, I could see it affecting
too
like more than
too
just
big to
them.
fail. Too big
Yeah,
to
right.
fail.
Well, it's too big to fail. They got the whole sunken cost fallacy involved too. Like they've invested so much in this, even if it does get beat out by like open weights or some foreign model, I see it getting, you know, bought out, not bought out, but like what's it called when the banks fail and the government gave them all that money to save them? Whatever that was. I see that happening. And then
Yeah,
there's
yeah. Uh-huh.
the whole problem of these data centers, right? It's I mean the whole
Bail them
free
out. Bail them out. You're talking about
bail, yeah,
bailing them out.
government bailout, right? Which is basically me paying for it, which is something I wouldn't agree with. Like I said before, if these
It,
companies have $1 trillion valuation and they can't find a working model, let them fail, let them go, let them disappear. There's no reason to bail them out.
too big to fail only means that your 401k will pay for it. That's what it
Yeah,
means.
exactly. Which I really, really hope isn't the case. But I see this as being a good thing, right? If the models are getting smaller, faster, more efficient, I can run them on one of my old laptops. That's perfect. And like I said early in the episode, I don't care what happens to OpenAI. I don't care what happens to Anthropic. I don't care what happens to DeepSeek. It doesn't affect me. It's not my business. I'm not invested in it. I'll use it if it's the best, and you know, the cheapest, most efficient option for me, I'll use it. That's when I'll use it. I'm not like a fanboy of any of them. I would be happy to see them all disappear if something better comes out. It's cheaper and is overall better for humanity. Like I really don't. I really wouldn't care. So I hope. I mean, I'm not saying I hope that they collapse. I'm just saying like
Just a little bit.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind if they did, but as long as like it doesn't affect me or like, you know, everyday citizens, I don't see a reason why that should happen. But there is a problem with these data centers. They are building for something that might not be there by the time it's done, and that is a worry. It wouldn't be the first business that goes bankrupt because they sunk so much money into these things that were obsolete by the time they were done. Right, the fridge was a great analogy. The all these ice companies, right? That was a big business. Not even just in Mexico. That
Yeah.
was a big business in a lot of places. And the home fridge didn't wait on the machine to get cheap, right? It waited on the house getting wired in, and that's the big part of it. The machine was almost the least important part of it. The distribution and getting it to everybody was the hard part, and that's the part that took a lot longer. So, in the early 1900s, most of America didn't even have electricity. That was step one for getting a fridge in the house.
Yeah, yeah.
And these ice companies, they were really dependent on a lot of those small towns. Like I'm from a pretty country area. Like there's a lot of farmers. It's like you were talking about internet earlier. The internet where I grew up was awful. We had dial-up until some people there's probably still do have dial-up. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
But by the time I went to college, they finally got like satellite TV and like faster internet. But even now, it's not very fast. It's maybe 20 megabytes speed.
yeah. In a lot of places, it's real like that. And one of my biggest worries is that if this business collapsed, like all the business behind will collapse too, right? Because if OpenAI and Anthropic collapse, all the business that made data centers, they will collapse. All these other construction business that now their whole job is just building data centers, right? They will collapse. Like a lot of these, which is the worst part. Like, how do you call this stuff that you need to manage electricity? These massive blocks, that you install. I forgot the name.
Electricity panels, solar panels.
No, it's not the panel really. It's like this to manage like the high voltage and all that. But whatever, those come from China too.
Conduction grids, like those power grids, you mean?
Yeah,
Because
they're
they're building all the extra powers in all these places, so because they suck so much power, these data centers.
Yes.
And like wiring on all the water and like everything else. It's a big project to become obsolete when it's done. And
yeah, exactly. Let alone becoming obsolete in those years, right? Like is like it could have an impact on the economy that probably we haven't seen ever. Okay, and look, I'm probably way, way, way more pro-American than a lot of people that I know, even when I don't live there. Mostly because I had a lot of like great cool stuff in America. I could do like so many things, met great people, and build like cool stuff in general, right?
Love the idea of America.
yeah. I really do. Like it's a pretty cool place. I know a lot of people, especially here in Europe. Oh my god, everybody's whining about America all the time.
Tell them go hunt in America and see if they're still whining after. Your season's coming up. We'll see.
The thing is, like, I really want America to be like the winner of this AI race. I know it sounds weird because I'm in Europe. Why will I want Europe? And the thing is, like, I don't think Europe has what it needs to win. And that sounds extreme, but I really don't believe it has what it needs. And this is mostly because what I call like the defeated mentality of the Europeans, which is like that they are afraid of everything. And when you ask them why you didn't do this, like, this thing, or just take more effort, or just take I don't know, like they were, why, what is the point? They will like usually like answer you in these ways that it feels like they are defeated. Like it feels that they are defeated, and it's very sad. So I don't think they will be able ever to recover from this.
Oh, yeah.
I really want to. I really want America to win, but they need to be very careful about how they do this, because if these wins collapse, their entire economy can collapse, and that will affect everybody, not just these businesses. That's reality. It will affect very normal people because again, 401k, right there, you have like most of the population in the country, right? So yeah,
I was going to say on the Europe thing, right? First off, Europe's policies around business just make it so you can't even build a successful business, right? It's almost
yeah.
impossible. And secondly, it may sound weird, but like because of that, a lot of like there's no business in Europe that has the audacity to even like put themselves out there and like take the risks to do this. It is
Hmm.
a very risky thing to build something like this. Like you can't just start up a research lab. You can't just create a new open source or open weight model like very easily. It takes a lot of buy-in. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of expertise. And the amount of time it would take to do it, if you were to found an actual business in Europe and try to do this, you'd be bankrupt within 6 months, and you would have nothing, no working model to show for it.
I don't think you will even get approval to do it. Like that's the
Yeah,
sad thing.
yeah, that's the other
Look,
thing.
look, look.
You need to get approvals to do everything over there. You can't.
Like I'm going to make you. This is a real question, okay? And I like, when was the last time that Europe built a business where their market share was more than 500 billion market share,
I don't know. Is
not
soccer count?
profit? How many years do you think that? When was the last time that it's happened? This year? Like I
No,
mean,
probably not since
literally,
the.
the United States was like last week, probably. Like,
Yeah, I
uh-huh,
mean in Europe, I don't know. Probably not since I don't know before World War I. I would imagine.
30 years.
Oh wow, not quite so long. I,
Kind of close enough,
oh,
in a
way
lot of
off.
ways.
I don't even know if anyone had 500 billion back then.
Like this is insane because if you think about it, in those 30 years, right? You had Apple, SpaceX, Tesla, like
OpenAI,
I,
Anthropic.
like not only that, like many more, right? Like just going to Y Combinator and see the list of businesses, you will probably have a few there, right? Like it's insane, and change hasn't happened here. That's a reality.
Yeah.
Like not just that, they just approve a new law because they are kind of stupid. Where if you send, I don't know, let's say that I sell forks, right? Of course, I have a fork because I'm a fat, I won't say a second word, but, person, right? Uh, so
Don't.
if I want to sell forks, right, and I will sell this fork to any other European country, right, that is different where I'm making it. Now I'll be in charge of taking care of whatever trash this fork is sent on whatever country is sent, and I will need to pay money for some business to take care for that trash, which means that I will need to pay now. I don't even know how many countries in the European Union, 50, 60, 80, whatever, right? I'll need to have 60 different business that the only job will be to take care of the trash that this fork is going to create when I send it. Okay, which means that I need to be now aware of like different regulations per country, right? Of the trash that I'm sending, right? And I will need to pay all these people for that. This is literally a law that was passed like 2 3 days ago, and the first thing that happened is that hundreds of business cancel everything for the European Union,
Yeah, good.
from bookstores like to whatever you can imagine, right? But this is the level of stupidity of the European Union. Like they really don't have a single bone of innovation in them. Like
It's
they
not even.
cannot
It's
even
like all the people
imagine what is
passing these
innovation.
laws. They've never run a business. They've never built a business. They've never built a product. They've never built anything. And it's one of those things. Hey, it
Yes.
sounds good on paper. Yeah, we're going to save the environment. We're going to get these evil corporations. We're going to charge them all this money. Like at the same time, I thought a lot of these places in the European Union, and I could be totally wrong. I don't know much about Europe. I try to learn as little as possible. No, I'm just kidding. But I thought they like pride themselves in like their social structure. Like we got free healthcare, we got our garbage taken care of, we got water, we got health, we got everything. Like our public roads, like yay this, yay that. But like from the sounds of it, they don't have their garbage figured out because I could totally see in like this is just me being distrustful of government and how they spend my money.
Mhm.
I could see some like your fork company. You pay all these. You pay Belgium, France, Germany, wherever. Here's $1 billion each to take care of the garbage, and then a year from now, I could still see them complaining to you, "Hey, this stuff isn't cleaned up. They're filling up our landfills and blah blah blah." And you say, "Well, I already paid you," and they're like, "Well, we need more." Because I just I don't see how more
Yeah,
money is going to solve the problem.
Europe has an issue with making look like they're doing something when they're not doing anything. When we were living in Spain, my wife was showing me where I need to put each type of trash depending, and it was literally like 6 containers, and it's like this is crystal, this is like paper, but this type of paper, and this is like plastic, but this type of plastic, and this is plastic, but this type of plastic, and then but if
And then
it's
a truck comes
paper,
up and dumps them all into the same bucket.
it's actually worse than that. Uh-huh. And then this is paper, but no, it's telling me like no, but if it's paper, but it
Cardboard.
has like oil or food or something, no, that goes in like the general stuff. And I said to her, I'm sure all this is performative. Like
Yep.
I'm sure none of this is real. So eventually, I look for it, and what Spain does is they put all the trash together and send it to Cameroon in Africa.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, it's, like you said, it's
Performative.
a perfect word. It's performative. That's all it is. It makes the people who are throwing stuff away feel good, and when they voted on it, they're like, "That's a great idea. That's going to save the planet." They vote on it, they do it, and then they still just at the end, it's mismanaged, and it's not a testament for people or how much empathy they have. It's more a testament to just mismanagement of government, I'd say. But
Okay.
okay, that's
That was a long rant. I'm
we
sorry.
got a bit off topic from data centers. Hopefully, I mean, we'll see
Mhm.
if they're going to be out of if they're going to be obsolete in the next couple of years. So, okay, here's my unpopular opinion. I think it's less politically charged. It shouldn't lead us down to the. So, the most successful rebrand this year, or in tech in general, in recent history, is open weights. It's the best rebranding since somebody started calling other people's servers the cloud. So open weights, we talked about it this episode. You can't see the training data. You can't reproduce the model. You can't audit what's in it. You can't change how it works. You can't use it in some situations based on licensing agreements. You get the binary. You can run it on your computer in whatever abides by the license agreement you agreed to. We had a word for this in 2004, and it was called freeware. Every lab shipping weights knows exactly what it's borrowing when it lets people say open source in the same breath. Because 30 years of goodwill built by people giving away the code that they built that you could actually read, you could actually run, you could actually change how it works. That was a hell of a thing to get for free, which seems to be on the wayside now. Like there's a lot of open source harnesses, there's a lot of open source tools surrounding AI, but the actual AI models themselves aren't open source. They're open weights, and this word came out of nowhere, and it's taken the world by storm. I run these models every week, and I'm glad that they exist, but they're not open source, and don't let anyone try to pretend they are. The word open used to mean you could check the work, you could see how it ran, you could see what it's doing, and I guess we kind of took it for granted. I'm pretty sure Linus, the guy who made Linux, right? He's like the godfather of open sourcing.
Mhm.
I'd love to see if he ever made a model or an LLM or something like that, because I guarantee that would be open source. But
The
don't
only
let these
time,
labs.
probably. The only time.
Yeah, give them some time. Don't let these labs. Don't let any vendors convince you something is open source if you can't check his work or her work or their work. You can't see the code. You can't run it yourself. You can't change how it works. You can't amend it and make it your own. Not open source. Open weights. I'm still glad that they exist. I'm happy to see them, you know, taking over. In some cases, they're getting close, and hopefully one day they'll exceed the capabilities of these research labs, the closed models. But open weights now it just means you can download the file. That's always been a thing. Um, it's not a small slip in the meaning. That's literally the whole word. It's open, but it's not. So that's kind of my hot take. It's a successful rebranding. It's It's just not open. So let's stop pretending it is.
Agree. In a lot of ways, I feel that this feels like half truth, right? Is that yeah, it's open, but not source. Like, it's half truths, right? Like it's open, not source.
Like, what were things that you've used? I mean, it's Obsidian's free. It's open, not source, but it's like I can download and use it for free. What's that one? That's like a really famous one. I think it's like WinZip or something. You use it to unzip archived files, and it's supposed to be like a free trial, but it's a free trial forever.
Forever. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean that's also open, but it's not open
Something.
source. It's like freeware. That's all it is. You can download it for
Uh-huh.
free and use it. You can use it on your own
Hmm.
computer, and it's not a new thing. It's just a really great rebranding of
We're
something that's
going to
already
start
existed.
calling open weights model freeware. From
Yeah,
now on, just to piss some people off, right? Like, oh yeah, these freeware models.
call it a free local wear, free local weight.
It'll be fun that probably there are some people like young that they will have no idea what freeware is. I'm
Yeah,
sure, free what? What are you
freeware.
talking about? Like, my back hurts every time they don't understand some of this reference.
Well, back then it was truly free. They didn't even steal your data. So like
Uh huh.
you were literally
Yeah.
giving them nothing. They made something,
Hmm.
put it on the internet. You could download it, use it for free, and they got literally nothing from it.
Yeah. I literally never pay for this WinZip WinRAR stuff like
Well,
ever in my life. I know some. I know that supposedly they make some millions actually on the
good. I'm
goodwill
glad
of
you
people, which was a complete surprise. But as a broken, poor Mexican tier worlder, there's no way I will pay for that. So
cool. So that's the episode. Episode 19. Next week's episode 20. Big milestone.
damn,
Makes
we have been every single week doing this by now. Like it's insane to think about it. But yeah, well, that's it.
Oh, if you got any questions? Feel free to email us. You got any topics you'd like to see
Oh
us cover?
yeah, see,
You got any
we're going to put
jargon that
here.
somebody used? Yeah, we'll put it here.
We're
Yeah,
going to put
anything you want to
here
know?
the
Go ahead.
email if you need help with anything related to AI, because believe it or not, that's what we do for a living. It's not just us having conversations. We actually work doing these things. Okay, and if you want to be part of the podcast, we're going to leave around here too. An email where you can send being interested. You can say to us, hey, we're interested in being the podcast, and we're going to check you out and see if we actually can do it together, right? So, but yeah, that's the pod.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Matt Wozniak.
Oscar Gallo. See you later.